This is the story of the ultimate surf trip through Mexico. Part 1, Sayulita. And not only was this trip absolutely magical, but it was also my wedding week, so let's go. Stick around to see all the breaks we surfed and the shenanigans we got into. Because Carissa had a work trip, I got to Mexico a little bit earlier than everybody else, and it didn't take me long to get acquainted to one of our favorite little surf towns. I absolutely love Sayulita because it has tons of culture, friendly people, good food, and it has a perfect little longboard break right out in front. The first day, I didn't get to go in the water, but it's okay because I got settled and I got a killer sunset. The next day, Carissa and our best friend Lauren showed up, and we got to do something we've always wanted to do. So we packed up our boards, hopped in the Jeep, and headed to the harbor. We took a panga to a remote break to surf all by ourselves, and it was even better than expected. The break was located outside Punta Mita, and because it was all private property up until the shore, we basically needed a boat to get there. We were so stoked when we pulled up. We waxed our boards, gave some good luck kisses, and then hopped in the water. When we paddled out, the tides were right, and there was almost no one in the lineup, which is something I'm not used to at all. And I still can't believe how perfect of an experience this was. We all caught some waves and were absolutely frothing. The waves were kind of big at the beginning, but I rented this 9.6 longboard and I absolutely loved it. This is Pelon, our friend and surf guide, and if you're in the Puerto Vallarta area and you want to surf, I would definitely hit him up. This wave is primarily a right, and I heard with the right conditions, it can get pretty massive on a pretty shallow reef. I tried my luck with walking to the nose for a little cheater 5, but I clearly have a lot of work to do. Carissa and Lauren also scored some waves while we were out there, and Lauren's style is so fun. Such a classic longboarder. At one point, I traded boards with Carissa and I got to use her super fun high-performance longboard. Once we were all pretty much surfed out for the morning, we headed back to the boat to chill, and Pelon caught us a fresh fish, which he turned into a delicious ceviche. Cheers to a solid day. For someone who gets seasick pretty easily, I sure do spend a lot of time on boats, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. Once we got back to the harbor, I took a little siesta under a tree, and then we went out for Surf Sesh round 2. Carissa and Lauren paddled out to a break called Anclote, which we learned was also known as Mexican Malibu, and we can see why. After surfing there for hours, we decided to head back to Sayulita and catch sunset. I was honestly really tired, so I didn't go out for round 3, but Lauren did, and she, among the locals, caught some beautiful waves. While there's localism at every break, the local Sayulita crew was super cool. As long as you showed respect and stayed out of their wave when they were hanging on the nose, then vibes were good. The local Sayulita longboarders are some of the best nose riders I've ever seen. And we learned that most of them weren't even sponsored, which is crazy to me. They all have so much style and grace, dancing along the wave. I mean, look at this guy. Even when he's falling, it's grace, and you gotta respect a mean soul arch. If you don't like wildlife, Sayulita might not be the place. We got many visits from this Mexican raccoon who ate all of my Doritos, and our friends had this giant iguana in their room, but I honestly don't know who's more scared. Gabby with her feet up on the bed, or this poor iguana. Once more of our surf friends came, we hopped in the van and headed on another surf trip. This time we went to Lancha with our buddy Miguel from Marea Surf School. If you're in Sayulita and you want to rent a board, take a surf lesson, or go on a little surf trip, Miguel is the man. When we pulled up to Lancha, the waves weren't the best, but we were just stoked to get the squad together. And once we were in the water, we were having some fun. Jack even brought the shortboard out. Because conditions weren't the best, we took over the break. And Carissa and I even tried a little step-off tandem action, and this was the best we've ever done it, so I was stoked. It's really hard to beat a beach day with good friends and good vibes. And the next day, the rest of our guests from our 100-person wedding showed up. And what better way to welcome them to Mexico than renting out a giant yacht heading to a marine protected area. They told us we could swim, but I don't think anybody expected this. Uncle Greg showed us kids how it was done with a backflip from the second story, and somehow we got over 75% of the guests to jump in. Shout out to Kevin for capturing these photos. And obviously Joe was going to show off his gymnastic skills. The crew on board the yacht gave us ceviche and endless drinks. One of the crew members was even an in-water bartender. Can you imagine that? Carissa and I were both living it up on cloud 9, and there's nothing better than getting to celebrate with all of our closest family and friends, except maybe the sunset with the dolphin. The next day was our rehearsal dinner, but most of us needed a slow morning to recover from the day before, so we hung out at the beach and enjoyed the surf. I aspire to surf like some of these Sayulita locals, but I don't think I'll ever be on this level. Maybe I'm just meant to be behind the camera. One of the things that we learned about Sayulita is that you have to come at the right time of year. Obviously the surfers are going to chase the swells, but you really want to avoid the rainy season and when it gets too hot. Luckily we went at the end of April and everything was perfect. I could not have imagined a better wedding week. Which reminds me, this is my wedding week, right? Of course it is. And I'm so excited to spend the rest of my life with the person I love. She has taught me what it means to be a lifelong learner and encourages me to challenge myself when I get complacent. She is my partner, my best friend, my adventure buddy, my CEO, my doggy mama, and now my wife. And there is no one else I would rather build my life with. This was the wedding celebration of my dreams, and it all came true.